This chapter 19 has been one of the most substantial of Dragon Ball Daima so far, not essential but also. Let's analyze everything relevant to this glorious chapter before Vegeta has to go take a bath with Bulma. Just as most of us predicted, Glorio was the real Dam. Does it reveal me and not the Great Father? Thus betraying Arinsu and asking Porongas for all the protagonists to regain their adult form. In response, Arinsu, though slightly annoyed, refrained from throwing a tantrum or harshly judging Glorio. Interestingly, Glorio feels indebted to Arinsu but did not want to help her to the end with her macabre plans, to which Arinsu, with great sportsmanship, simply gives up. She dismisses Glorio for obvious reasons, and although she is visibly disappointed, she simply lets it be. Perhaps because deep down she thought this was a situation that could arise, who knows? Glorio departs with the warriors now restored to their adult bodies, and Goku finally addresses him by name, thus demonstrating that the jerk was simply mocking Glorio all this time. And here I want to make the first stop super important and irrelevant. From the series' start, it was clear that making the protagonists small had certain drawbacks, like they had to get used to using their new tiny bodies from scratch. At no point was it specified that their powers had been diminished in such a brutal way as was the case. Despite some comments that Goku or Vegeta might have made, no one clearly said that because of the small bodies, their powers had been reduced dozens of times. As is the case, why do I say this? Once transformed into adults, automatically Goku comments that there is no point in fighting as a group anymore. They can go one by one to finish off Goma. What this means is that the small bodies were not only a small hindrance, no pun intended, but they also reduced their powers in a sickly and dramatic way. I'll explain it with examples now. After deciding who is going to fight, it's Vegeta's turn to battle. Here we were left agape because we can see a base form Vegeta who gives a good fight to the Demon King Goma, which is unheard of, according to what we were seeing in previous chapters. At a certain point, Vegeta accesses Phase 3 as an adult in an extremely epic way, and here we see something interesting. It's not that Vegeta in Phase 3 is on par with Goma, it's not that he makes him mincemeat, he completely destroys him. The reason why Goma doesn't die from Vegeta 3's blows is simply thanks to the third eye, which gives him almost total invulnerability. But in terms of strength, as Goku noticed, as they get older, Goma stands no chance. Literally, Goma was unable to touch Vegeta in Phase 3. He was not even close to being a match. And here we can draw some approximate conclusions about the real powers of the warriors. These are my conclusions. By the way, if you are haters of power scaling, can't you hear about power levels because it gives you hives, it gives you cringe, disgust, or you just don't care? You can skip to the minute that appears on screen. Well, this is like doing a rule of 3 in mathematics, very easy. If Goku Phase 4 small could not surpass Goma at all in terms of strength, and Vegeta in Phase 3 has infinitely surpassed Goma in terms of strength, what power does Goku really have in Phase 4? Small? According to my calculations, it should be equivalent to an adult Goku in Phase 2 or maybe just a little bit more only. We know that Phase 3 is much stronger than 2, and what if we don't use those outdated multipliers? What logic tells us is that Goku in Phase 4 as a kid would be equivalent to his Phase 2 as an adult. And I know it sounds a bit exaggerated, but that's how the logic seems to point it out. In the case of Goma, seeing the massive beating Vegeta in Phase 3 gave him, it's clear that he could only endure. Due to the infinite stamina and resistance granted by the third eye, we can conclude that Goma third eye probably has a power close to a Super Saiyan 2 like Dabura with the Majin mark, or a Super Perfect Cell, perhaps something superior to these two. I doubt that much more should be found between the level of Mr. Buu, the fat Majin Buu without evil, and the fat Majin Buu. In the first appearance, we saw him without, of course, becoming stronger than him. This greatly disrupts the power levels we had in mind, as it was never made entirely clear how much power was taken away by not having an adult body. The nerfing was completely absolute. As usual, those who claimed it was obvious will now appear. And that's fine. This time I might be able to buy it from you. There had to be some charm in them being children, but as the enemies would say, even though they were children, they were still just as troublesome. And phrases like that I would have liked if any of the characters simply gave an estimate of how much their powers had decreased. During the fight against Goma, Goku could say something like, "If only I had my usual body to help us better understand his situation." But now we at least know this with absolute certainty. and we can now confirm that Goma is not close to the level of a true Phase 3, therefore not to Kid Boo's level either. Vegeta beats up the muscular dwarf, even putting a final flash in his mouth, nearly destroying half the demonic universe. Unfortunately, Goma is invulnerable due to his third eye, and Vegeta gets tired of using the dwarf as a punching bag as expected. So he loses his Phase 3 but still doesn't stop fighting. Meanwhile, Arinsu Chat, thanks to the skills of Majin Q God, who is very good at all kinds of tasks, manages to find in his book quickly how to counter the third eye. I wonder, isn't it curious that there was always information on how to counter the most dangerous weapon in the entire demonic universe? But well, let's not pay too much attention to this. The point is that just by tapping it 3 times on the back of the neck, the eye will detach as if by magic. Arinsu and Goku are going to inform the Zell warriors in a tsundere way, and then Goku and Piccolo start devising a foolproof plan to remove the eye. Basically, the plan is that Goku, after boasting that he is able to maintain Phase 3 for a longer time, that Vegeta will kick Goma's ass for a while, and while keeping him entertained, smacking him in the mouth. Piccolo will approach him from behind, and before Goma feels vertigo in his tail or a tickle in his butt, Piccolo will hit him 3 times and snatch his third eye. The plan is foolproof and simple, but there's a catch. And it's that the stubborn Vegeta doesn't want to give up his turn and keeps fighting against Goma senselessly. But it's okay because Saint Bulma, Redeeming Mother, has a foolproof trick for these cases. Bulma tells Vegeta to stop, but he refuses, saying he would rather die first. His Saiyan pride from the devil prevents him from abandoning the fight until his last breath, and I don't know what. Then, Bulma throws at her husband a spell that no man can withstand, be it human, Saiyan, or whatever you want. Bulma tells Vegeta that either he stops, or they will never bathe together again. To which Vegeta, in probably the funniest scene in the entire history of Dragon Ball, stops dead in his tracks. In the most abrupt and anticlimactic way you'll ever see in your life, and he goes back to his friends without saying a single word. The truth is, even though the fandom had suspected for years that Vegeta was a bit fussy, between his liking for Bulma's breasts and his addiction to baths, playful with his wife, we can now confirm our theories. For those who complained about this scene, I suggest going outside more and reducing their masturbation frequency. Claims that Vegeta's character has been ruined or that he's a simp are nonsense. His actions align with his character's evolution. And besides, well, my son is his wife, with whom he has a child, and they have been married for several years. You have to be a cosmic failure but an atomic nuclear failure to see something wrong with this. But anyway, only otakus could see it as a bad thing that a married man likes to spend time with his wife. Things that are only seen in this community, honestly. As for the scene itself, well, it's very Toriyama humor, very nice, honestly. A mildly spicy and well-executed joke that's funny without being crass or overly lascivious. I laughed uncontrollably for 10 minutes. It caught me off guard. I loved it. Or maybe everything is just a plan by Vegeta to save water, and we are the ones who are suspicious. It could be. My editor will leave you a few memes about this scene to make the video more complete. After the bathroom incident, the plan to take down Goma begins. I hope they don't kill him, poor thing. He seems too cute and chill to be gutted like that. Very essential, but since he's not Toei's Goku, I'm calm. Goku approaches Goma and says he'll teach him about his transformations. Exactly the same as, or yes, what Goku did against Majin Buu and Babidi the first time he showed Phase 3. This son of a bitch loves to flex his forms, especially if he can rub them in Virginia's face. Goku confirms that Piccolo is ready and then begins to show his forms, until finally Phase 3 arrives. It's a constant stream of references to that moment. But before rushing into the fight, oh yes, Goku tells Goma to wait because there's still one more level. That's when Dragon Ball Daima finally grows a pair of huge balls and we can admire Goku fucking Super Saiyan in all his majesty. 4. The bastard gets so motivated that he even takes off his clothes and everything. Truly essential and epic, the son of a bitch. You might ask, Bills, what about the canon now? Did it go on sabbatical, my dear little cabbage? This is a disaster. I've shut off my brain and I'm just enjoying the essence of this festival. Is that wrong? Well, yes, there hasn't been the slightest bother to keep sense in all these things. With Super. What can we do about it, though? We can say it's wrong and bad for the canon, but that's about it. I've stopped caring at this point. From the beginning, I knew this series was going to be hard to fit in, but I never imagined they would take everything so lightly. I'm not in favor of ignoring the meaning of a story, but I can't be a hypocrite either. I'm enjoying it a lot because between that dreamy animation, those otherworldly drawings and designs, and this festival of fan service, I can't say I'm not enjoying it. It is what it is. The design of the adult Phase 4 is divine. About the hair color, well, I neither like it more nor less than the GT one. I think it's nice and cool that we have several versions. That way, for everyone. We have the GT and Heroes models, which are slightly different. When he acquires Kiribino or whatever it's called, the Limit Breaker, and the Daima one, variety is the spice of life. My boys, we'll see what happens next week, if their memory is erased as many predict, or if they absolutely don't care about anything. And suddenly, Bills and Wiz show up to have a barbecue with Goma, Degesu, and Arinsu at Goten's birthday. At this point, nothing makes much sense. See you next week. It looks like it's going to be pretty powerful. Bye.